Abby on the couch at the Mohawk Valley Resource Center for Refugees at World Refugee Day. And today we have...
Peter Vogelaar. I'm the executive director of the center.
So this is something that's very close to you, what's happening today. So what were you planning on happening through this open house?
Well, I think it gives us an opportunity to actually bring the local community and the refugee community together so they have a chance to learn from each other and kind of see a little bit of the cultural traditions that they have. But also, I think it's important for the local community to understand who is a refugee and what are the plights of refugees around the world. And so here we have some refugees who are able to say why they came, where they came from, what's happening in their home country, and what they have found since they've come here, the safety and the security and the warmth and the welcomeness that they've experienced in Utica.
So also part of today is celebrating the diversity of Utica. That is so apparent because everyone from Utica has come from somewhere, that we're all either immigrants, refugees, whatever you would like to refer yourself. So what is some of the heritage behind your own family?
My family is Dutch extraction. I'm actually 100% pure Dutch on both sides of my family. My father was, I'm third generation on my father's side and fourth on my mother's side. My father's family went to northwest Iowa, and my mother's family went to central Iowa. And if you go to the cemeteries, all the names are Dutch. And all my relatives, everyone's Dutch. Now, if I go visit the Netherlands, I feel like I should just be able to start speaking Dutch. Of course, I can't, but it just feels like I should be able to. But a lot of them came from partly because of religious persecution. My family's tradition is conservative Dutch Reformed Church. And my father grew up not allowed to play cards. He grew up not allowed to dance. All sorts of just very, things that we just take for granted now. And so their families left the Netherlands and came to Iowa in order to escape the oppression that they thought they were experiencing because of their religious tradition.
Well, that's one thing that we've noticed today is whether you came to this country yesterday or you came here 100 years ago, we all love America and the opportunities that it brings us, and that whether it is a place of refuge for a lot of people, and I think that goes unnoticed for a lot of things. So there's just another question about the Refugee Center. So how many refugees come into the center on average per year?
We have, the year depends on the year, but on average we have about 500 people that come through the center. It's a collaborative, it's a cooperative process between ourselves, Lutheran Immigration Refugee Service, the State Department, and the federal government, and because it is a program of the federal government, along with Office of Refugee Resettlement, which is part of Health and Human Services. So there's this whole kind of mishmash of local and state, also New York State, and federal partners that make this happen.
So having 500 new citizens come to United States each year does leave an impact on the community. What are some of the things that the community sees because of this input?
Well, I think, one of the things we have to remember is I think the place to start sometimes is that this is a homegrown program. This is a program that started here in Utica. It started with our first executive director, Roberta Douglas, her husband was a Vietnam vet, and they had a grave concern about the displaced Vietnamese after the conflict. So they started the process of saying, how do we welcome some refugees from that conflict into Utica? And the first person was actually placed up in Marcy, which is interesting. And from that idea has grown nearly 14,000 people in 30 years that we've been around. So today we figure Utica has maybe 15 to 18% of the population is derived from that refugee resettlement process. So I mean that's a lot of people don't understand that, right? The significance of the concentration of refugees in Utica. And I think it's important for us to understand that they are a part of our future. The people who came 30 years ago, the people who come yesterday, are part of who we are. They represent what I think is the best of American history and tradition of really standing up for those who have been persecuted, those who have been forced from their home, creating an opportunity for them, giving them the space to be who they are, and yet incorporating them into our future. And we all have background like that, but we very easily forget that. And so World Refugee Day gives us the chance to try to remember that.
Very nice. So do you think today was a success?
I think, yeah, I think today was a fantastic success. We had a wonderful turnout, both of people from the refugee community. We had neighbors from the area come in. We had friends from the school districts. We even had a woman who lives in Spain who came and visited us today. So, yeah, so it's a fantastic, I think it says something about who we are as a community.
All right, now there's the one question that you can't get off the couch without answering, and that would be, what do you love about Utica?
What do I love about Utica? I think Utica has enormous potential, and that I think, honestly, we struggle with trying to understand what that potential is and trying to grasp a hold of that potential. But I think we're slowly beginning to understand that our potential is our human capital. It's who we are as a community, who we are as neighbors with each other. And if we're able to begin to focus in on that, we have incredible strength of character and incredible opportunities here with the diversity of the cultures that are part of Utica. And we begin to, if we begin to put our face forward in that light, we'll become a destination place for thousands of people because they'll want to see what it's all about. The restaurants and the grocery stores and the nightlife, just things that make Utica alive. And I think that's what makes us a beautiful community, that, we haven't forgotten our immigrant past. We've created the space to allow refugees to become a part of who we are. And we're beginning to learn how to celebrate that and how to make that our future.
Well, thank you very much for allowing the couch to sit in on your experience today. And personally, I've learned so much, and it's really eye-opening as a person who lives in the community of all of the people who surround me and how beautiful it really can be. So thank you very much, and welcome to the Couch family.
Appreciate it.